or who knows, they might end up on your playlist. I'm your host, Kayla Warren. Let's get started, shall we?
Who are we?
We're Altameda. My name's Eric. This is
I'm
Troy. And yeah, that's us.
We're a band, and we make music that hopefully people like.
Okay, well, let's give it a fun, interesting start to our interview. Now you guys have a album coming out in April with a new song out right now called Nightmare Town. I want to know like the story behind it and everything about the writing process of the song.
Cool. Yeah, well, we both sort of, I guess in the past couple of years, relocated from Edmonton out to Toronto, where we're currently living. So yeah, as we were kind of writing the record, I'd kind of gotten really into this movie called Badlands, it came out in the 70s with Martin Sheen, and Terrence Malick directed it, but there's a Bruce Springsteen record called Nebraska that's also based pretty heavily on that movie. But when I saw it, I was just pretty interested in the concept of like these kids who basically wanted to run away from their hometown, and they end up, I mean, this is very extreme and not what we're talking about in the song necessarily, but they talk about what happened was they went on this sort of like stateside killing spree, and yeah, I just thought that it was just like an interesting story about these kids just resulting to something so extreme to escape their circumstances, and just sort of seemed like, I don't know, it would be interesting to sort of put myself in their shoes, I guess, lyrically, and I guess I could sort of associate myself in the sense of just wanting to just get out of your hometown and switch it up, even though we still love Edmonton and everything. It was just, I don't know, it was just for the sake of drama for the song mainly, but yeah, so that's I guess that's roughly what it's about, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I am curious, with the idea of, being trapped within the small town vibe, when writing this, what kind of inspirations did you pull off besides the Badlands movie? Did you use any references to your town, any kind of, I'm not from Edmonton, so I have no clue what is around the area.
Yeah. Have you ever been?
No, I haven't.
Edmonton?
No, I haven't. I just now got my card enough where I can travel into Canada, but I haven't been there yet.
Oh, nice.
Have you been to Alberta? Have you ever been to Alberta?
I haven't been to Canada, period.
Oh,
it's like a Michigan.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's like a Michigan sin right now on my hand. Like I should be going to Canada constantly, but I haven't even been to Windsor.
Yeah, surprised. Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm surprised you haven't been to Windsor at least.
Yeah, Windsor is. They say that Windsor is like has like some of the best pizza in Canada. I don't know if that's true or not, but I've read that. But there are certainly references to our hometown in the song. There's a reference to the river that runs through our town was quite sludgy and gross, and sometimes after the winter it would be so overflowed that it would fill up, and water would go onto the paths on the side, so you couldn't go underneath. But there's a reference in the song that talks about the river having shopping carts in it, and yeah, whenever I was a university student, my job on a weekly basis would be to go up and down the rivers, and in the summer when kids were roaming around the river valley, throwing fort bottles, Big Bear bottles, or Axe Head bottles, big 40s of beer, they'd throw those in, and they'd stroll through the parking lot of the mall, and they'd throw the shopping carts in the river, and then I'd have to pull them out with a grappling hook or something. And yeah, shopping carts, bikes. Anyways, that's where I answer your question. That's the reference in the song to our hometown.
Man, I don't think I've ever pulled shopping carts out of rivers, but like that's still just, oh my gosh. Now, like on average, was it like just a couple of these shopping carts, or just like a bunch all the time?
There's a lot. There was a
Yeah.
lot of stuff in there. I mean, there was enough that they were able to give me a job doing it. So, and I did that for maybe 4 or 5 summers, being out on tour and going to university in the fall. So it was a lot. I have some pretty wild stories from that time.
Well, since
But,
with that little bit
yeah,
of
that would be a direct reference from the song.
Yeah. All right. With that, then from inspiration from there, besides Nightmare Town, you got the whole new album coming out in April. How excited are you guys for the release?
Super excited. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
Especially with the pandemic, definitely drew out the process quite a bit. So we're pretty excited to finally get it out.
You had some help with this album too, with the help of Tucker Martin. I hope I pronounced his name right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Cool. And I'm going to butcher his last name. And Thomas, I want to say it's Darcy.
Darcy, correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. All
Nailed
right.
it.
How's it like working with those guys?
Great.
It was great.
We were supposed to be, so Tucker's in Oregon. He's in Portland, and we were supposed to go down there. The plan was to go down there and make a record with him in March of 2020. That was going to be sort of right in between a few tours that were all planned out. We had the whole sort of spring and summer in the books and ready to go, and then the virus and everything. So we put a pin in that a little bit and kind of adjusted our plans. And around that time, right before that time, Troy had moved, and I was still back home in Edmonton. So we put a pin in things and just kind of kept writing some songs. And Tom was a friend of some friends of ours, and they had also been sort of in conversation to make a record with Tucker as well. And so we had kind of been talking to them and about how their plans were shifting and our plans were shifting. And by the time the sort of early summer, late spring rolled around of 2020, my wife and I were living in Toronto, and so we went over to Tom's studio and sort of got to know him, and made the record there over 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. And yeah, it was great. It was hotter than a pistol outside, and it was real nice to sort of spend the days in the studio and then kind of have our evenings off. And yeah, and then so we ended up when Tucker mixed the record, we just kind of did it all through email anyways, which was weird because he sort of has a more analog approach to his mixing. So we had to be very much on, we'd get emails, here's a mix, we'd have to listen real quick, and
Well, and there was like a big time
notes. And yeah, he's in Oregon, we were in Ontario, so there was he's sending us songs at maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but it's like 7 or 8 our time, pardon me. So it was a whole interesting sort of dynamic to get it done, but in the end, I think the sort of blend of both of the two of them was really great.
Yeah, I had the chance to listen to you guys' album, and I cannot wait for everybody to hear it. I love the mix.
Awesome.
I love the mix, and I'm like, so far I'm glancing over because I wrote notes off to the side to be able to
nice.
get, yeah. Definitely like,
Oh, good.
yes. I made sure to write some notes that's back up and being like, oh yeah, I really like this song. But I also realized I can't say too much about this because, like I said, this doesn't come out for a couple more months.
Oh, that's
Um,
okay. I feel like
like I
Yeah,
definitely
you
like
could say
Nightmare.
it, it's okay.
Okay, well, I'll go off easy. I really do like Nightmare Town. And I do feel like there's this I don't know if you did take more reference of Bruce Springsteen in the songwriting process, because I definitely felt that.
Cool.
That with like a little bit of like hippocampus in my head when I was listening to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hippocampus came first, weirdly enough. I instantly got that vibe right off the bat. But
Cool.
the first song right off the album, I don't know if I can say the song out
I think
loud.
you can. That one's out. That one's out.
Okay,
out
cool.
already. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I should have double checked that. That's what
That's
I
okay.
wanted to do.
All
Dead
good.
Man's Suit. I love that choice of that song being the first one of the album. That one was a
Awesome.
nice hitter, and it definitely like
Cool.
feels like a great start into the album.
Cool.
But I want to know actually, like, how did you guys compose each of the songs into the album itself?
Like, do you mean like the track listing?
Like, I guess, yeah, in the track listing, like, why would you pick, like that song, Dead Man's Suit to be the first song?
Yeah, that's interesting. Actually, that was we'd kind of toyed with like a few different track listing ideas. I remember when we were in the studio, the whole time we'd kind of thought that actually the last song on the record was going to be the first song, for whatever reason. Yeah, so I remember when we had the A&R person from our Canadian label came in to listen to it, and that was the track listing that we'd set up for that first time showing him. I think it was that song, and then it was Born Losers, which is the title track from the record, was the second song. And that was sort of and I can't remember what the rest of the track listing was, but that was originally what it was. But then, yeah, I think it was just sort of because Dead Man's Suit, I think it feels like sort of introductory in a way, because it's a lot slower and maybe kind of didn't really feel like it fit dynamically in any other part of the record. So I think just because, and that song is, with the orchestral part and everything, it's sort of feels sort of cinematic or something, and I think sets up the rest of the record, because I think lyrically we were sort of taking an approach of sort of each song is like its own kind of vignettes or like mini sort of movie in a way. So I think that just sort of sets the stage for the rest of the record in a good way.
I like the idea
We
that
also had a lot of the sort of these other ideas of as sort of right after the time that Troy relocated, we were sort of sending voice memos and sort of different ideas and stuff back and forth, and they'd be Troy recording on his phone in the kitchen, or setting up a single microphone and just kind of recording, and little things like that, just to get the ideas sort of like flowing as we were writing back and forth. And we had this sort of idea of creating these like small sort of vignettes that would fit in between each song, that were maybe they were iPhone mixes, maybe we just recorded them onto a tape machine or something, very primitive or something like that, to be very down. And then the more we sort of work an idea, they kind of fleshed themselves out into other songs. And then there was one day at the studio where we came in, and Tom had essentially just written an orchestra part, and because it was sort of right in the thick of the first 6 months of COVID starting and everything, there was very few people who were really willing to come to the studio to track things, but everyone who already didn't have a a home recording setup were very much into the idea of just recording things and sending them to us, which bought us a lot of time in the studio anyway. So he had Tom had sent some sheet music to this fellow Drew Jureka, and he played all of the strings. And in the time that we left the studio one day and arrived the next day, he had this whole string arrangement part, which was something that we had never anticipated. Really, we were playing with the idea of adding like some fiddle, and that was pretty much it. And it kind of wasn't sitting right, and it was kind of like, well, let's pick this up again tomorrow. And then that was just kind of what it was. And then it kind of just blossomed into that. So it was kind of one of those sort of very much a product of just the time that we were there working in, because we weren't working on the record over a stretched out amount of time or months or anything. It was really only a couple weeks. We kind of were and this is sort of indicative of our process to recording anyways, which is kind of just first thought, best thought. And yeah, that's kind of just like how that ended up working out, which was kind of perfect.
I love the dynamics of everything that happened to create this album. I especially like the idea of it being in vignettes or just little tiny films of each for each song. It's kind of like a film festival in a way, I guess we would put together.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. Amazing.
This will be my like little fun part of the day where I get to ask you a bunch of random questions that I have sprawled out in variations of different cards. You guys up for it?
Interesting.
Hell yeah.
That sounds cool.
Yeah,
let's
Okay.
definitely.
All right, so let's you know what? Because we were talking about movies earlier, let's start with this one. Which movie would best describe your adolescence?
I would say Gremlins 2.
Ooh, by the second
Yeah.
one.
Because there's a scene in it where they do New York, New York by Frank Sinatra, and as a kid, my grandpa was super into Frank Sinatra, so I was sort of raised on his music. And then I was really into the Gremlins as well, like the first one before I'd seen the second one. And then when that happened, it was like everything
Everything just collided together.
made sense in the world. Yeah. So I would say that movie probably best sums up my adolescence personally.
So what about you,
Sums
Eric?
up my adolescence.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I mean, the sort of earliest movie that I can remember seeing and rewatching over and over again is probably Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the original with Gene Wilder. It's still like my favorite movie. So I don't really know how it sums up my adolescence, but it's probably the movie that I saw the most throughout my adolescence. So I'll say that.
You get to like the childhood wonder of being in a chocolate shop, chocolate factory,
Totally.
and all the things that can happen in a chocolate factory.
Yeah, that scene. Yeah, like I watched that movie as a kid thinking like how great would it be to walk into a candy store and the guy is literally scooping candy and pouring it on the kids as if it was like Carson Daly fucking spring break. And then watching it now as an adult, I think of it more from the business perspective, like how does this guy make any money? He's literally dumping candy onto the floor.
Exactly.
I
You
still
think
love it.
think of all the like OSHA rules and all the like sanitization issues right there.
Yeah. Yeah. That guy's candy shop does not exist in the time of the virus.
Gosh.
He's
And
cool
weirdly
as
enough,
hell.
they're remaking, or I think they're making the prequel of Willy Wonka right now.
Yes, with Timothy Chalamet.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yes. Yeah.
He's in everything.
Yeah, hopefully.
He is.
Yeah,
He's
it'll
the-
make up for the crummy the Johnny Depp one. I
Yeah.
think.
I'm not
That
a big
one
fan of
wasn't
that
too
one.
good.
No,
Don't
I
get
don't think
me wrong.
anybody was.
Don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed the Mike TV song, but that's about it.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's probably the
Yeah,
only
the
one I liked.
the original is still my favorite. So that's my
yeah.
answer.
All right, I like that. I like both of your guys' answers. They're adorable.
Appreciate it.
Here, let's see. When's the last time you surprised yourself? I'm gonna go deep.
Interesting. Actually, you know what? I am going on a month of not drinking any alcohol, and surprised myself that it's actually been pretty easy to do that. Not that I was like an alcoholic or anything, but
Still, congrats. That's
yeah,
30 days.
Yeah.
You quit smoking kind of also too. That's huge.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I did.
Hey,
I
no,
did do
that's even
that.
better.
So yeah, so there you go.
There you
I
Wow.
go.
surprised myself with that.
Congrats.
I mean, I would probably have to say that relocating here was a big thing. It was something that I kind of always thought I might do from the time I was like 17, 18. And then, things get busy and I just never did it. And then, my wife and I kind of just packed up the car one day and came out here and got an Airbnb for a few months. And now it's been almost 2 years. So I would say that that was probably something that surprised me is just how easy leaving my hometown might have been. So
No, that's a struggle to be able to leave your hometown and be able to venture outwards. I am still trying to get out of my hometown, so I definitely agree.
one time I stayed in a Motel 6 in Ann Arbor, and this was years ago, probably like 10 years ago, and it was I would always stay in Motel 6s in the US because they were actually cheap. There's a lot of like roadside hotels that you see that have like some kind of advertised deal on the room that it's only like this amount of money and then you get in and then there's a whole bunch of extra fees.
Oh yeah.
But these ones were always actually what they said. It was always like $60 a night or something like that. But we went into this Motel 6 in Ann Arbor, and The Shining or some shit. That like seashell room where he finds that woman in the bathtub, and it has all like very curved
Yes.
walls and like sort of
Yeah,
seafoam
I know
colors
exactly what you're talking about.
and like all this sort of like art. Yeah, very art deco. And I think Motel 6s might be like independently owned and operated, but they can get franchised out. I don't really know the inner workings of their business model, but maybe that's something you can find out and get back to me on. But anyways, I'll never forget this Motel 6 in Ann Arbor. It was a very, very strange place, but it was like walking into like a creepy movie set or something like that. It was odd. Or like kind of like that Grinch movie that they made in like the early 2000s with Jim Carrey, and they like sort of tried to, but it was like kind of creepy and dark. Anyways, never forgot about that.
Gosh.
What about it was
just like they had like, yeah, just like everything about it was decorated in this very ornate sort of art deco feel. Everything had like sort of rounded edges, and everything sort of had this like duotone, like the sides of the shelves would be painted yellow, but then the tops of the shelves would be like bright pink, and there'd be like a seafoam green wall. And I had no idea why. I'd stayed at lots of Motel 6s, and none of them looked like that, and just this one in Ann Arbor.
Oh, I'm gonna
I
have
hope
to
it's still like that, because I'm
gonna have to hunt it down too.
I don't know.
I'll see.
Yeah.
That'll be my secret mission. I'll make a separate video attached to this, and we'll do a secret and, well, how is it? Not like undercover bosses, but just like undercover mission here of just finding. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like Cribs.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like Cribs. Yeah.
Oh gosh, what was that one MTV
Welcome
show?
to my crib at the Ann Arbor Motel 6. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right. We're gonna do one more before we like wrap up everything. This will be a great one for the both of you guys. What title would you give this chapter in your guys' life?
Great Depression. No, I'm just
No. The Last Crusade. No,
I mean, it would be the end.
The new dawn. The new dawn. Very hopeful. We're on the precipice of hopefully things happening that are exciting again, and not being in the pandemic anymore.
I think I had two ideas, and they both sort of show the same thing, which is one. I guess one idea could be, or maybe it's like, maybe it's like a title and then a colon and then a subtitle, so that it would be Roller Coaster Tycoon colon the Uncanny Valley,
Ooh.
because this whole shitstorm's been a bit of a roller coaster, and also, if you know anything about the Uncanny Valley, it's that things are weird, and you don't know what's reality and what isn't, and it challenges the limits of human empathy.
That's a fantastic way
There you go.
to bring that to light. Wow. I like that. I like both of your guys' answers. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
And I'm also kind of craving to play the game Roller Coaster Tycoon.
I was gonna say the same thing. Yeah.
I actually have it on the
Forgot about
computer,
that.
so I might do it actually.
You should do that.
Hell yeah. Nice.
All right, with that
The
being
Sims is
said,
very popular again. All those simulation
Yeah.
games are like popular again.
oh my gosh,
Yeah,
I
Cool.
literally just saw a Steam sale for some like train simulator, and I was like, I'm tempted to buying this for my brother's for his birthday, and I'm like, ooh, but is Train
Yeah.
Simulator the game to play?
I don't know. It's hard to say.
I liked Zoo Tycoon.
Ooh,
That was a good
I
one.
That was
I
a
miss
good
Zoo
one.
Tycoon. Zoo Tycoon, and then there's this one called Mall Tycoon. It had the best music,
Oh,
but the
Hell yeah.
shittiest gameplay. It was horrible
Wow.
gameplay. Like the characters were like paper, so as they walk, you just saw this motion.
It sounds
yeah,
all right.
yeah.
I love
But
those
it had the
games.
best. I think it was like the Easter show, and then the car show had those were the songs that were playing that were like the best songs out of the track. But
Nice.
I was
off
I was
topic.
watching this, for whatever reason, a documentary on The Sims. Don't ask me why, but and they were talking about how when those games sort of started to be conceptualized, it was because they were noticing that people were really, like, they had like a similar thing that was for people designing like their kitchens and stuff, and the software was just getting really popular with people, so they were like, oh, maybe we're onto something, and then that was kind of like proto Sims.
Yes, that's true. My wife just told me the same thing, that
Yeah.
people were using it. They liked the idea of just being able to like as if you were buying IKEA furniture and you're like, well, I want to see what it's going to look like when I lay it out, and then people were like, I think this is just a game, and then the Sims. Yeah.
I love the interior designing aspect, as my sister and I are like, well, we can get the most achievements of how to kill a Sims in variations of different forms.
Yeah.
Maybe mine's
Yeah.
just a little bit morbid, but
me and my brother used to do weird things with our Sims as well, like make like celebrity lookalike Sims and like
oh, I used
treat
to
it
do
like
that
a
too.
reality show and stuff. It was really weird.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
My neighbor had The Sims. He used to do this thing where he would put a little he'd put a pool in the backyard, and then the Sims would get in the pool, and then he'd pause the game and take the ladders away.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so crazy.
My sister would trap them
that's-
into a room and then remove the door, so they'll be trapped
Yeah.
in this little room
Or
for
just put like
I
a
remember
lot
one
of
time.
put a lot of ovens
One
in
time,
one place.
Yes, yeah, that's right. One of my Sims, the toaster oven caught on fire, and then he peed his pants, and he was like all embarrassed.
So dark that's like what the kids
Yeah.
want to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's strange.
Yeah, but
Hey.
they incorporated totally
They-
unnecessary reason to
Yeah, that's
incorporate
true.
life
You
and
could-
death
Yeah, they did
into-
it.
They did it. So yeah, they
Yeah,
set
that's
us
okay.
up.
Yeah,
Mm.
it had to be that real.
Yeah. Well, with that speaking, bringing back to reality for here, at least for us, this is the end. I would like to say, where can we be able to find you?
On all
The internet.
on the internet. All the usual suspects: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube,
Spotify.
Deezer, Apple.
We'll be on tour. We'll be on tour for a bit too, coming up. we're gonna go down to South by Southwest here pretty soon, and then we're gonna go out on the road for a bit in the spring. So we'll be bombing through the U.S. and Canada, doing some shows, and I don't know if there's any in Michigan.
Ooh.
Illinois,
I don't
for
think
sure.
so. Yeah.
I think we might bypass it completely, but maybe
But
we'll book
one
something
day,
for
one
Detroit or
day.
something.
We could. We can do a small in-person meetup and talk about our Sims characters.
That sounds great.
Yes.
And we can go to
We'll meet
that
up at
weird
the,
Motel 6.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh my
that's
gosh.
right.
That's it. That's what we got to do. We'll
Yeah.
meet up together, go to the Motel 6 together, do a whole
It'll be
investigation.
great.
I love that
It'll be
idea.
perfect. Yeah,
We
me
can
too.
play some Sims at the Motel 6, but
Yeah.
you have to pay per. I don't know I can't remember if the Sims uses the internet or not, but if you want to use the internet, everybody has to pay for their own code, and it's $1
Oh,
for your own
okay.
internet Wi-Fi code. That's what I remember too, is that I had to lie about how many people were sleeping in the room, but then also pay for an extra Wi-Fi, which was sketchy.
I feel like that's like a thing at like American motels is paying for Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's like $1 to have a code.
Gosh, maybe I haven't come across that yet. Or maybe I just got the little fancier hotels.
Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah,
My-
Motel 6 isn't exactly top of the list. This is also probably like 2012 maybe, so maybe times have changed. Maybe they've stepped it up.
Maybe. We'll find out
Wi-Fi
when
is
we
pretty
do.
ubiquitous now.
Yeah.
We'll find out when we do our meetup.
Sounds great.
Stop